Patrick Johnston covers the Canucks for the Province and Post Media, and he is gracing us with his presence today in the Nation Network studio. Nice to see you again. I know you'll be in on Sunday with Jeff for Rink Wide after this big game against the Winnipeg Jets. We got the Blue Jackets before that.
They're all big games, Matt.
Well,
and they're meaningful games in March, Blake.
The big games.
How many? We've been sort of tossing this around. How many losses are they allowed?
Is it 3?
Well, I would have said that for sure a few weeks ago, but now with the way things are going,
I hate this game because it doesn't account for the overtime and shootout losses, right? Like, as much as we'd like to make it neat and tidy over the final 10, there will probably be some overtime and
so
shootout.
the team that's lost in NHL.
Let's put a point total. Does 94 get them in?
I think so.
Really? Okay.
Well, because really to me it's St. Louis. Like, how much does St. Louis do? St. Louis has won 7 in a row, so are they really going to keep
I don't think they're that good. I think St. Louis will have a blip here.
They're on a heater, but this is the thing I wrote yesterday. I was just thinking about this. It's like, okay, what do you actually need to do here? And I kind of came to the conclusion like St. Louis should get to 93 points. I really think they should.
I like to think of it in losses terms because I like to tell the fans, okay, if the Canucks lose, how sad should you be? How many get-out-of-jail cards do they have to put down here?
How sad should you be on a given night?
Yeah, exactly. Like if they lose to, let's assume, dangerous, that they beat CBJ, but then they go out and lose versus the Jets. You just say that, no, they are allowed to lose that game. How many more are they allowed to lose?
Well, they have 10 games left. That's the thing. They need, that's why I said they're allowed 3, I think, because 7 wins gets them to 94 points. Yeah. And that's, I'm not saying it will get them in, but it could get them in.
And who'd have thought that it wouldn't? Like that would 3 weeks ago, 94 points. I would indelible ink on the dotted line. That for sure gets you in. Now,
well, the moment we started, all the projections started saying it's going to be 91 points.
Right? Yeah.
I was just
so low.
No. We've had this before. We've seen this show before. There's always someone who gets hot at the end, and right now maybe St. Louis is peaking too early, but certainly they're putting themselves in a position.
91's going to work in the East, by the way.
Someone gets hot at the end. Why not the Vancouver Canucks? Yes. And especially with Thatcher Demko back in form, Patrick.
Because Pius Suter's the top center.
Well, so this is how I wrote it the other day. I said, do the Canucks, do they need Elias Pettersson to make the playoffs? And it's not so much because of who he could be, it's because of who he isn't, which is that he's still better than Nils Höglander and still better than Teddy Bluger and still better than Aatu Räty, despite his excellent play last night. The reality is that Pettersson, at least his defensive game, takes you to a better place, and the play ends up at the right end of the ice, even if his season hasn't been that good. So it's very difficult without him.
Is everybody raising their game, though, because those guys are gone? Like, can you have your cake and eat it, too? Can everybody step up and not do the, he's back, we can let down now?
Well, Kiefer Sherwood refound his way back to where he had been. I don't think anybody thought he'd be that guy forever. But Kiefer Sherwood has been a great AHL scorer. He has the talent to put the puck in the net. So last night's game was not surprising. The start of the
style games too, St. Louis and the Island. He was terrific in 2 of these closer playoff style games.
And I have to say, he didn't score, but I think Dakota Joshua's found his way back to where he needs to be. He's not putting the puck as much, but he's forechecking, he's winning battles, he's creating things. Like, there's enough bits there. It's not cohesive because in the end, like I said, their center depth is.
Although Ratu's been good there.
Ratu's fine, but he played 10 minutes. Like, Matt, he played 10 minutes last night. So, which is fine. But he's the fourth line center.
Created a goal and scored a goal.
Nice.
Frankly, they waited too long to get Ratu up and in the lineup, given the dearth of center icemen, given the lack of offense. I want to see Ratu play more.
Sure. But yes, but at the end of the day, right now, the way they played him, he's still playing as a fourth line center. So there's not even a replacement of Pettersson. He's replacing Oman's minutes, who's replacing Bluger's minutes, who's replacing Pettersson's minutes. That inherently.
Well, he's better than Oman and should be playing.
I agree, but I'm just in terms of deployment right now. Even then, what are we talking about? You have to replace your number one center's minutes, and that's no matter how bad your number one center's been. It's not your number one center.
How much of your paycheck are you putting on the line that Elias Pettersson is in the lineup, first home game back, April the 2nd?
I have no insight into what is going on there, so I don't know.
How has that been just like
Bizarre.
put under lock and key?
Are you fearful that Chytil is real bad? Like season,
or are they
ended,
just kid gloving
worries
this?
about career? Bad?
Well, I mean, when we last talked to Rick Tocchet about it, so then again, this is the frustration of not being there. But when we last talked to Rick Tocchet about it last week, he was trying to put on a brave face. Let's put it that way.
He's feeling good. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't even
feeling
he
better
wasn't even,
today.
He's feeling
which
better
is
today.
Different than,
But it was pretty clear that the recovery is a 1 week. If you do everything right and everything works for you, it's a 1 week deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think was any chance they were going to do that, and certainly we haven't seen any suggestion he's flying in to rescue the team. But yeah, that's the other point, is that the other guy, I mean, even though long term he's probably a third line center, he's not there.
He's coming,
and
on
he's
2
played
weeks,
well
too. He's coming on 2 weeks. Saturday will be 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you have huge questions from both of those guys. Höglander, I mean, I don't know what happened to him. He just basically disappeared. But I was told it's going to be a while, whatever it is. So Höglander is, again, he's had a good sort of last month, but there are guys you can fiddle with in this lineup in that area. But your centers are what matter, and they don't have the centers right now, as well as Pius Suter has been playing.
Okay, let's finish up with personnel because I do want to get on to Rick Tocchet. Elias Pettersson.
Yeah. Fourth fastest man in the NHL, is that
That's right? Quite a burst of speed. Canucks defenseman, man.
Whew.
In a 100-meter, game on. Lewis versus Johnston. Elias and Mancini. So what's with the do-si-do there? Have they not settled on someone? Do they like the idea of fresh people? Do they not trust young junior Petey on the right side too often, or as much? What's going on with the?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it. Is that they like both players, but not enough to say one or the other. And I mean, Mancini. Everyone talks about how strong he is. Right, they think of him as the strongest guy on the team, and he plays a smart game. Pettersson, I think, is a better kind of all-round player, and we certainly saw the back check last night.
And no wilting lily in
and I would say to his credit, he is such a lesson on what to look for when you're looking at a young player coming up. Does he go for it right away? Does he have any hesitation? And he hasn't had any hesitation.
Sure.
The comparison is a guy like Guillaume Brisebois who came in kind of I'm going to play it a bit safe, and I'm going to, which is fine, but that doesn't keep you in the league. What keeps you in the league is being brave and bold, and that's why Pettersson's there. And Mancini, I suppose, to a certain degree, is the same story. I mean, he's just been highly competent since he showed up. So, I mean, the interesting one, of course, is what happens when Tom Willander comes.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to ask you, by the end of the season, the Canucks going to have
Tom
three.
Willander doesn't.
No, but I'm just saying. But
he's
they
gonna play.
They're going to get him in the lineup.
Yeah.
They will try to get him in the lineup at some point.
You're not playing him in a game with playoff stakes.
We'll see.
We'll see. I think they do.
I think, Matt, you're right.
So
Instinctually, you're right.
I'll put dinner on it right now. Rick Tocchet and Adam Foote are not going to drop Tom Willander into a game when they are fighting for a playoff spot if Junior Petey and Mancini are healthy.
If the manager has promised that they will burn that year, yeah, they will. It happens.
Can't see it. Sorry.
Every game from here on in, Matt, has
you're thinking and
consequences.
And look, I understand where you're coming from. You're quite scarred. You are accustomed to college players dropping in and getting the look-see because they can't.
Look-see.
And because the Vancouver Canucks have promised that. And let's face it, the game doesn't matter anyways in March or April. But these are games of consequence. I realize he's a good prospect. I realize he has done well in 2 years of college hockey, but you're not playing him over two guys who have been good NHL defensemen this year in a playoff stakes game. There's just no way.
That's what I'm saying.
It has nothing to do with look-see. It's contractual negotiation. It's we're going to make sure, don't worry, we're going to burn that year for you right now.
No. You can't promise that. You can't promise that.
But they do.
Yeah.
No, they promise that when they're playing out the string.
Yeah, well.
Or when they're secure in a playoff spot. They don't promise that when they're right there at the bar and every 2 points could make the difference between in or out.
Yes. I mean, that part's absolutely the case. I guess I'm saying is I'm going back to Blake's original question. So once they've lost 4 times.
If they lose 4 times, we'll have the discussion, and I'm sure Tom will. All right. Okay, Rick Tocchet. The Philadelphia Flyers job is open.
Yes.
He is, of course, an ex-Flyer. Mike Sullivan, our old friend, former Canucks assistant, may be done in Pittsburgh there after winning 2 Stanley Cups. Tocchet, an ex-Penguin, an ex-Penguins coach. What are the chances Rick Tocchet is coaching in Pennsylvania next year?
Well, if you say Pennsylvania, I mean, I don't think it's. I think it's not 0. I am very skeptical of the Flyers part, because if I sit back and look at what he's looking at here, and what you would be looking at in Philly, there is no reason to say that Philly is further along in their project than the Canucks are. And there are certainly things I know he does like here, but he also, I think, has questions about here as well, which is why we're all talking about this.
What would those be?
Well, looking at his number 1 center, what is Petey's? What is the future for Petey? How does he play? Is he able to play out the season? Where is that? What do they expect from him in the offseason? Will he be able to deliver on that? What are they going to do about filling the hole in the middle? Like, Miller had to go. I think they all recognize that. But who is the new guy? How do they do that? It's going to be hard. Obviously, they missed an opportunity with the Besser situation. It's hard to imagine them finding a trade for him at this point, and it's more than likely he's going to go, I think, although you never know. You need a winger. You need a centerman. What's the plan? And I think that is more than anything the things that he will be looking at. Because, listen, I think he's enjoyed it. He likes it here. He likes Vancouver. I think he likes the people involved. He knows the bosses. He likes them.
Is Petey a roadblock?
And here's the other thing. I think a lot of coaches chafe under the microscope that is this market. And I think he loves it. I think being in a hockey milieu and being able to talk hockey with as many people as he can, both in the building and outside of the building, I think is the sweet spot.
He's a hockey evangelist, is what I call him.
Yeah,
he likes to preach the religion of hockey. That's why he enjoys talking to us.
Only it didn't work for Torts here.
No,
Willie, it was Alain, Rick.
Yep.
Those sorts of guys who are comfortable in their own skin, comfortable that they're NHL head coaches and will be elsewhere. Don't feel a need that they have to micromanage everything around them and that it has to go their way. Those sorts of coaches work in Canadian markets.
Heart of Hearts.
Paquin's a great show.
Heart of Hearts, is Petey a roadblock for him, though?
I don't know if roadblock's the word, but it's certainly a big thing that he is looking at to try to understand what is the road ahead. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Because it's been a difficult year, right? And he's had to look at this guy struggle, and
he needs to believe that he can lean on somebody.
That's the word. Thank you.
You know what
he needs to believe that he can lean on this guy, and that this guy. I mean, we've heard it. The reason why he talks about practice so much is he's thinking more in broader terms in terms of preparation, right? He wants to know this guy has learned to prepare himself in the way that Quinn Hughes has, and to a lesser degree, probably you could say Brock Besser has, right? Like, there are guys in his stable who have recognized that what they were doing is not the maximum of what they're able to do. And that is the coach's job, right? The coach's job, and he and I have talked about this before, the coach's job is to take the player to a place that they didn't know they could get to, because that few of us know where we can get to.
And Hughes, Besser, Garland, Suter, Sherwood, Bluger, Höglander, Joshua. Look at the number of players who improved here under this coaching staff.
As weird as the season's been,
I know his system gets a lot of flack, and deservedly so, but there are hockey players who are better professionals on the Vancouver Canucks today because of Rick Tocchet.
Well, and look at last season. Like, last season was not an outlier. Last season was, I mean, yes, admittedly, everything going right, but also the players were at their peak. And that was how they thought things would. I mean, I don't think they thought things would go exactly as they would, but they thought the system was going to work because they thought Miller and they thought Pettersson would continue to be the guys that they're supposed to be.
Let me ask you,
can I just throw this at him? You know who Rick needs to help supplement, buffer, support, make it work with Elias Pettersson? Bo Horvat.
Oh, gosh.
If Sidney Crosby is not available, and people tell me Sidney Crosby is not available, and is not going to tire of the losing and not come to a revelation that one of the greatest players in the history of the game really shouldn't end his career with 10 meaningless years in a B market. If Sidney is not available, Bo Horvat.
I have a hard time imagining him coming back.
Why?
Well, I think he was disappointed about how things ended here.
But this would be validation and vindication.
I suppose.
They finally wised up and chose me.
Yeah, I suppose.
You don't think so?
I
think Bo is
you
the
never say never.
preeminent professional.
My instinct is no, but you never say never. Sure. Yes, absolutely. A massive professional. Anytime we've seen him when he's come back, he's been the same old Bo.
And I think if Rutherford and Alvin just go, hey, Bo, we're sorry, we got it wrong. Some things were said. Water under the bridge.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's forge forward. I think Bo would sit down at a press conference at Rogers Arena and say, it's good to be home.
So it's Trevor Linden part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that was different management groups.
Yeah, that's true.
This is different. Why did it take 12, 15 games for the team to win puck battles and be the first to pucks again? They go 6-1-1 going into the break.
Yeah.
You think they figured it all out. And then it looked, they weren't, but it looked like they were trying to get their coach fired. That's the kind of effort levels that we were seeing. So why did it take so long for them to re-find that give a bleep?
Can I just note the segue here, Mike? We were gone from big, broad topics like who's going to coach the Canucks? Will it be Rick Tocchet? Can you bring Bo back as a second-line centerman? And he wants to talk puck battles.
No.
It's playing style.
No, we're talking
belief
about
in the coach.
We're talking about belief in the coach. If the coach is so good, why did they abandon his plan for 12 to 15 games at the most important part of the season? That's coaching. Why did they abandon it?
Answer his question, then I want to ask you about the dry scrapes at Rogers Arena.
I'm not asking about a post-game comment. Let's have our own conversation. He's lost.
I often am with the two of you. You two sometimes get on a wavelength that I'm just not there.
I'm sorry, Matt.
I don't vibe with these guys.
If this coach
together.
is all that, why did they abandon it?
It's a good question, and it is something to. I think it's a good question because you can talk about overall mentality or the core or whatever, but like. That hasn't always been the case. Like it's just there's a get up for the game period for the group, and I don't listen. I think we forget how bad that road trip at the beginning of January was. Remember when they lost in Carolina but then beat the Leafs? But like there was some awful, uninspired, drag me into the dirt, and I think that was because of the festering Miller Pettersson situation, and. There were some of that, honestly, Blake, I think was just bad luck. There was a lot. There were good things happening. I mean, our sort of emotional reaction was, well, this isn't really that great. But a lot, like they were just playing really boring hockey.
Yeah,
which was in many ways kind of the plan because they were trying not to give away much.
It leaves you open though to a bad break.
Yes,
meaning you lose a hockey game.
And they simply weren't scoring. They weren't finishing, and there were elements of the shot creation that was not good enough. And that was frustrating the coach. You're absolutely right.
The first 4 games out of the break. Goals for column 1,
brutal,
1,
brutal.
2, 2.
Well, and look at the
hard to win.
But and look at where they're at right now. I mean, their power play hasn't scored in 4 games, right? This has been a team that has had a hard time all season putting it all together. And that's why they're in the spot they're in.
Not many perfect games.
So, which is the context of the coach, right? And
that's what he's in charge of.
I would say credit to Rick Tocchet on this because he has been open about it. He says, in the end, it's on me to find the answers. I'm here to help these players find where they need to be. What would you like to say, Matt?
Can I ask an existential question?
Sure.
Does Thatcher Demko save their season?
Wouldn't that be something? I mean, they can't run him into the ground, right? Like we know that both the goalies need the right amount. But the amazing thing was before he got hurt, he was playing great.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, the question now is, okay, what is going on with Lankinen? And Tocchet insists he could have backed up. Well, he didn't.
I like if this is on the up and up.
There's nothing to see there.
If this is on the up and up, I actually like the thing. Like the chances of us needing you are lowish, and Artie Shilov.
So get ready for Friday.
Get ready for Friday. I don't mind it.
And this is something like this is something that we've been wondering if this would happen. It's the Major League Baseball thing where you send the starter out to the next city. Like they don't even stay with the team anymore. And so is that, which in a way is, if that's what it is, and that's entirely possible. But certainly, the notion that he was, quote, banged up.
What I want to know, was he in the building or was he in the hotel room in bed watching the game? Like, part of me wants that to be.
Kevin, what's your routine? Yeah, I don't know.
Like, just don't even prepare for the game. Don't even bother putting on a suit and coming to the bus. Just stay in bed with your feet up.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
I didn't watch the post game video, so I can't tell you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening.
Got you some Resurrection Spirit swag too.
I should put it on. So.
Yep. Well, that would have been the move before the interview.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Poor coaching.